Okay, we're going to start. We'll begin the Professional Service Committee meeting for April 15th. Begin with the roll call, please.
Jack Shea,
Here.
Sylvia Wilson,
Here.
Dr. Gilliam,
Present.
Corey O'Connor,
Okay, thank you. Do we have any information items?
Not today, Madam Chair.
Not today. Okay, but it's always good to keep it on the agenda just in case. All right, we have 3 big action items today. Item A, the motion to recommend the service authorization for JMT under the agreement for engineering consultant services for an amount not to exceed $208,243. That's not million. That's not million. It's $208,243.08 to perform the scope of services under capital program S469, contract number 172-6A. And this has to deal with the rehabilitation of the Monongahela subaqueous interceptor, subaqueous. Okay, subaqueous.
Good for you. Good for you. First, I want to thank you for that correction. I'm sure JMT is saying, oh,
Get ready
shit.
to have a heart attack? Get ready to have a heart attack? Okay. Yep.
I will ask our Director of Regional Conveyance, Jan Oliver, to speak to the item. Jan?
Sure. Thank you, Arletta. So last month, you folks approved JMT as the selected consultant, and we negotiated between last month and this month for the price. It's very much what they projected. There's a little bit of increase, recognizing the time frame of the contract, and increases in hourly rates. So you all know the subaqueous and the hole that was discovered, and how the last repair, the last lining, was performed as an emergency contract. So we're getting in there this time and making repairs to the subaqueous interceptor from M44, which is where the last one stopped, and then taking it down to Streets Run beyond Sandcastle. So that's about 4,700 lineal feet of lining, a 30-inch sewer. And they're also going to put in some access ports because it is in the river. This allows us to have access to do inspections and cleanings. And it will require bypass pumping and, of course, cleaning it before it's lined, and then post-lining inspection. It's estimated that the construction will be about $9.5 million. That is a 20% contingency in there. And it's expected that it'll be 402 working days. So we're anticipating it'll start in July 2021, finish October 2022.
Okay, and this is all from Joe seeing a little bubble in the river, right?
That's right.
Dealing with this for now over a year, hasn't it been?
It has. It's been, yeah, well, the emergency repair took a long time because bad weather just continued. We just, you have to put coffer dams in. The river level even exceeded the coffer dam levels at some points, and it was just very difficult repair to be made under emergency conditions, because then you're doing things on a time and material basis, and you have an inspector out there. So it's much better to be handling this proactively rather than reactively.
Of course, of course. All right, could I have a motion? First of all, are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve? And a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm taking my glasses back off again so I can read these numbers correctly. Closer up, sorry, guys. The modification of service authorization 329 for WRA for service during construction of the East Head Works project for an amount not to exceed, and this time it is million, $2,593,350. Okay, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This time, I'd ask the Director of Engineering and Construction, Kim Kennedy, to speak to the item. Kim?
Thank you, Arletta. So this is our East Headworks project, which is the next project that's going to be moving into construction. Our bids opened Tuesday, and we are reviewing them right now, but expect to be able to take a recommendation to the board at the board meeting next week for the construction. In terms of WRA, we originally awarded the East Headworks design back in March of 2019, so 2 years already. They did a nice job, and you'll see that the bids are really great. A lot of participation. So the construction now will be from May of 2021 all the way through the end of 2024. So we're looking at 3.5 years to build this East Headworks facility and all the associated improvements that get the flow over there. Their scope of work, the WRA services during construction scope of work is construction administration, reviewing of submittals, reviewing of change orders, weekly meetings, coordination with the contractor, and then at the end of the day, they have to provide us with record drawings so that we have a record of exactly what was built. And so that's this project, and once we're back in the boardroom together, we will watch this project for the next 3.5 years together, because it's right across the street. So we'll all know it very well at the end of the day. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Jack, Shauna, any questions or comments on this?
No question.
Okay.
I have one. So just so that I understand the timeline.
Yep.
So can you, so we have been working with this company. What's our relationship? Tell me like the timeline.
Sure. So we went out for we put out an RFQ for the design of the East Headworks back in 2018. And that's when we shortlist and awarded, and then we negotiated a fee, which was March of 2019. So that's when that design of this project started. This project is really complex. There used to be it got delayed originally because there used to be a below ground storage tank, gasoline storage tank. So their first mod was DEP required us to do a site characterization report, and we had to do wells and monitoring. So we didn't anticipate doing that. So we did that. And then we were in a position to award this construction back in January, but we got delayed because of some additional permitting requirements that came in from the city. So we said, forget it, we're just going to delay it because we felt more comfortable getting a little further along with the city. So we actually presented to the Planning Commission the East Headworks project twice in March. We briefed them, and then we went to the hearing and did the presentation again. We got unanimous approval from the City of Pittsburgh Planning Commission, and it allowed us to feel more comfortable to open the bids and move into construction.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So it's an established, because this is not a small amount of money, $2.5 million.
No, it's not, right.
So so just trying to understand the
So
rigor of the process, the history, and how did we land here.
So this is spread out over the 3.5 years. So this is everything, we negotiated everything that we will require of construction services during design from the beginning through the end of construction at the end of 2024.
Okay. And as far as their coming within this budget, I know, we're often asked to approve overages and things like that. Like, what's the anticipation for how much they could go over budget? Or do we have any idea about that?
Well, the greatest unknown is the construction, right? So if the construction cooperates, then it should come in under budget. Things like when you start digging And if you find something that's unexpected and it requires, for instance, more coordination with the agencies for approvals, that's where we start to, it would be outside of the base scope of work for services during construction. But right now, I think we've been pretty diligent about putting that stuff in so that we don't have to come back and ask for a modification. It's just construction. Sometimes it's just hard to predict, and there's a lot of below grade excavation to get the flow over to this new location.
Hmm.
I think we did a very good job of anticipating it, but I think it's a low percentage, but you
We'll
just never know.
keep our eye on it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So, Dr. Gilliam, would you like to make that motion? And Jack, would you like to second that?
So moved.
That's so moved. I agree.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and item C, the motion to recommend modification of service authorization 274-2 for GAI Consultants to provide ongoing engineering support services for the required annual sewage sludge incinerators, unit number 1 and unit number 2 stack testing for an amount not to exceed $88,943. Okay, Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, this item, I will refer to the Deputy Director, who just happens to be the Director of Operations and Maintenance. Not that that's a big deal. It's that deputy thing that really counts. Douglas.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Good afternoon, folks. So while the dollar value is much less than others have brought to the table, the significance is pretty high from a compliance perspective. So just as a reminder, back in 2015, EPA came out with some new emissions rules for sewage sludge incinerators. They recategorized incinerators and categorized us under a different section of the Clean Air Act, which required us to do annual testing. So in 2016 and subsequent to then, we've been coming to you with annual asks. In 2015, we did a competitive solicitation in GAI and their team. So GAI's team is made up of GAI themselves, Limos Labs as the stack testing firm, and SciTech to help us with some of the electronic data submissions to EPA. We've been coming annually for the testing requirements, and it's varied. Sometimes we test for more pollutants, and some years we test for less, just based upon what the guidelines allow us. So if you recall, the first testing that we did in 2016, we had a cadmium issue. That was one of the pollutants where we exceeded the limit on, and in discussions with the health department, we retested successfully. And since 2016, we've been always compliant. Back in the fall of 2020, last year, we, in August, tested incinerator number 2 for all 9 pollutants, and 7 of those pollutants came in line and below the limits, but we also had 2 that exceeded, hydrochloric acid and lead. So as we always do, we send the test report in to the agencies with a cover letter coming from Michelle indicating that we acknowledge that we had an exceedance, and we would like to have further conversations with the agencies to find out what the next steps are. So for unit number 2 that was tested in August, we eventually got in front of both EPA and the health department in February with a conversation of what the next steps would be. Those next steps were us to submit a letter to the agencies requesting a retest of unit number 2. So just as some additional information. So when we tested back in August, unit number 2, it usually takes 30 to 60 days to get the results. So we don't always know the results immediately. In this circumstance, we were operating unit number 2, we tested it, and we were shutting it down for a boiler outage, and then we were bringing up the other furnace. So even though we tested in August, the unit has been down since August, and we have not run the unit since August, which was good from a compliance perspective because EPA likely would have shut us down if we had been non-compliant with that exceedance. So The path forward with unit number 2 is that we're coming to you with, so the $88,000, half of that is to retest unit number 2 for all pollutants in June. We will bring that unit up online. We will test it for all the pollutants. We will, when the test is complete, we will take the unit back down and we will wait for the results of the test, presuming they're successful, and then we will go on our merry way with whatever our normal mode of operation is. On the good side, unit number 1, which we tested in September of last year, was fully compliant. So part of the ask is, the other half is to test unit number 1 in August. So this $88,000 is a retest in June of unit number 2 of all 9 pollutants, including 2 of those which we were in exceedance of, and the other half is for the full 9 pollutant testing in August of unit number 1, which is in operation right now. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer.
I think that was a very thorough explanation. Any questions, comments? All
Not
right,
for me.
okay. Then could I have a motion, Jack and Dr. Shanna?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, seems that the motion has carried. All right. Ms. Williams, do we have any new business?
Madam Chair, we have no new business, but I will follow up with you, Dr. G. It's been a while since your orientation, where some of the procedural aspects of how we address professional services matters was taken care of. Now that you're participating more fully on the committee, I'll get in touch. We'll go back through, deal with some of your specific questions.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay,
As
and-
always, appreciate your interest in your inquiry.